second. Okay, so now what we're going to be talking about today is Microsoft Teams, and specifically Microsoft Teams tabs, which is really just a kind of a gateway to some other apps. And that's why anyone who is watching this, who is at a Google school, or even quite frankly, an Apple school, will get something out of this session, because what we're going to talk about really is the power of what you put into those apps. So what I'm going to try and do right now is share my screen. And I want to give you a little information about those apps. Let's see if this desktop window. Okay. And I'm going to keep up the chat right now. So if you don't see certain things, I want you to let me know. And right now you should see probably a window that has WK on it. And I'm going to see if I can come over to a Teams. And so I can't see you guys. I'm going to come back over. So right now on my screen, I see Microsoft Infused Classroom Day of Sketchnoting. So let me come back over and stop sharing for a second. And because something new is happening inside of this. Oh my gosh, it's the worst day for presenting, but I'm so happy you guys are here. Okay, I'm coming back over. Now, I'm here and I want to ask you, could you see when I was over in my thing where it said Microsoft Infused Classroom? Can you guys answer that for me? Okay, so I'm going to head back over there. Turn on your, I'm going to leave one person's mic on. I'm just going to go randomly. Is there anyone who would volunteer for me to have your mic on so you can tell me you can't see what I'm doing? And just say, yes, I volunteer. And you have to have like a quiet background. So if you're somewhere quiet and you can be the person, thank you, Wendy. Okay, so I'm going to head over, find you. And I'm going to take your microphone off. And I think you can do that too. It's not okay. There. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to go over now. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I am going to go to desktop. Now, what I want you to be able to see, and again, this is going to be clunky because I had everything open in that other computer, but I want you to see inside of Teams. So even if you're a Google person, this is going to be interesting for you to see because you've been using probably Google Classroom. And I have to say, honestly, I like Teams better as a learning hub. I'm teaching a class right now in Google Classroom, and I miss channels and I miss all of the things that you're going to see here in a second. So I'm just going to go into a random Teams thing. And I think this day of sketchnoting has nothing really in it. So, or maybe it does. But so you can see here, this is the environment of Microsoft Teams. And most of you know this, but I'm saying this for a few people who might be new and new to Microsoft. So up at the top, and I love this, my friends generally say this all the time. Over here is the We section, which are these little apps on the side like Activity, Chat, and I mean the Me section, my gosh. And then where I can look at my calendar, my assignments, this is all centered around me. And then this is the We section where I can look at posts and I can have files and a class notebook, which is magical. I can have assignments. My teacher can see insight into when did I last look at the assignment? How long was I in a meeting, all kinds of stuff. And this insights that you see right here is why I like Teams the best, and of course the channels. But we're going to go to the Tabs app because that's what we're talking about today. And if you look here, it says add a tab. And what it's going to do is either add like another word to the side of this, depending on how big your screen is, or it's going to add, well, first it's going to do that, and then it will add them below often. But I don't want you to think of Tabs app as somewhere where you're going to put a bunch of stuff stacked on each other. That's not really good. Well, it's not really about pedagogy. It's not really good organization, especially for our students who are struggling with processing, or they are executive functioning kids, which I kind of believe 90% of my students I work with are have executive functioning problems because of the amount of information that's coming at them. And so what you want to think of is using this in a more fluid way to put things up to highlight and then take it down. Then put something back up like a hyperdoc, if you've been in any of the hyperdoc ones, and we'll put a hyperdoc up and then take it back down. So I'm going to show you what happens. And many of you know this, but we're going to go into some of the great things you can do. Here are some of the apps that come standard. Now, of course, those people who have great relationships with Microsoft are featured first. Kind of, I call this like above the fold, right? Buncee has an amazing partnership with Microsoft, and of course, Flipgrid. If it weren't for Flipgrid, I wouldn't even be talking to you today. I'd still be over in my Google world, kind of smirking about Microsoft. And thankfully, Flipgrid was bought by Microsoft, and I was able to come over and learn about all of these great things like Teams and OneNote and PowerPoint. I'm obsessed with PowerPoint right now. So thankfully, I have for the person who has the ability to go between the two in their school. Wow. And usually people are either like Team Microsoft or Team Google. And I can't wait for this new school year where we can just be Team Student and not worry about the platform. But can't always do that if your school is only Google. So let's talk about what you can put here. So let's say I decide to put Flipgrid. Here's what's happened. I've got to go in and get my Flipgrid code. And I could just log in from here if I want, which I'm going to do. You're going to get to see me log in. And it takes me right to my thing. So I am going to put up, I'll just do this in Fuse Classroom one. And I'm going to choose this first year teacher self. And now I can do a couple things here. What I'm just going to do actually is I'm going to grab the flip code, which is this. Doesn't want to take it. So I'll do this. This will be just the same. Okay, now I'm going to grab this link. And I can go in, and it looks like I could have done it a different way, but I'm just going to do it this way. And I grabbed the link, and it's going to place. This happens to be a topic. And if you watch Flipgrid Live on Monday, and if you don't know what Flipgrid Live is, Flipgrid Live was a live presentation, I guess, where they told about all of their upcoming updates. And one of the updates is we're no longer going to have grids. We're actually going to just be making topics and then organizing them into groups. That will roll out August 1st. But I think it's a really good idea because sometimes I would put something in a grid called, let's say, plant and animal cells. And then if I even ventured off a little bit to talk maybe about how they impacted statistics and math, then I was like, where do I put this? Which grid does this go on? And now you're not going to have to worry about that anymore. You can file it under both groups. Anyway, so I'm going to post this here. I'm going to save this. And you can see now in my tab, this just sits here. So it's kind of like an announcement that says to kids, hey, we have something on Flipgrid. Go in, and they can access it straight from here. This is especially good for little guys, but I have to say I teach middle school most of my life. It's really good for middle schoolers because it's there. They're not off in other tabs. They're not going other places. So inside of this tab, and let's just go back to the posts. So here I am in the posts of that thing. The kids see over here to my first year teacher self, and they know that they have to respond to this. So here is what it looks like inside of that tab. So it kind of, think of it as like, hey kids, it's sort of like an announcement, even though we have announcements in posts, but it's an announcement that kind of says, this is what I want you to focus on. And we have to kind of train our students who are new to Teams often as well to know that if they see something on the other side of grades, that this is something they need to look at. Now you're going to see there's one more right here, but I can come over here and I can remove this. So that was our assignment for today. This is what I'm talking about, the fluidity of these Teams tabs. And I can remove that. And now I can bring up another assignment. So I'm going to show you a couple other things that you can do and what you might want to bring in. But first, let's look at the other tab options. So that was Flipgrid. I could create a Buncee that my students watch and respond to, and maybe even a PowerPoint that now if you've been to my Pear Deck session, I could throw some checks for understanding on top of this this PowerPoint. And then that Pear Deck, which is student paced, could be in that tab. So can you picture that? That particular PowerPoint presentation with all of the questions, something like that in Nearpod 2, could just sit in that tab for 2 days, reminding students they need to go there and get that done. So great for remote learning. So of course I can put it in Microsoft Word, all of these, yippee-ki-yay. Here's one of my favorites, website. So one of these apps right now is not Adobe Spark, but I love Adobe Spark. And one of the things I had open in my other window, let me see if it opened when I did that whole little, yes, this should be down here. Okay, yes. So you're seeing my calendar. Okay. Does everyone see, and my volunteer, Wendy, if you can tell me, do you see Poetry Anthology right now?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So this is Adobe Spark page, and a student has, and I'll show you this. A student has made a Adobe Spark page for her journey of learning around poetry. So she designed this to show her own poem right here. This is her, Lindsay, and she does the poem. She reads it here inside of this, which is also an Adobe Spark video. And then she explains what she did and where she got some of the ideas. And she does it again for dog collars. Here it is. Here it is being recited by her. Here she is talking about what she went through to write it. Here she is with our last one, 777. When I was 7, I lived in a yacht in the middle of the Caribbean. Can you imagine? I hadn't even looked at that one. And then, so she is compiling her poetry into one place. And then she says, I got my inspiration from Langston Hughes. And even if you're not a poetry teacher, you can see how amazing this kind of just a portfolio around poetry is. And I just want to show this to you because it's so amazing. And I got my inspiration from Maya Angelou. And I think she has one more. I got my other inspiration from another poem by Langston Hughes. And she discusses those in here. See, in Angelou's lines 24, 30. And think of how amazing this is. So this is called Adobe Spark Page. And I want to show it to my students. We're remotely learning, so I can't really project it on the screen. I can take this link, I can go back to, and I can see that my battery's going down. I have to go get that in a second, but I can go to website. I can put in that URL. Now here's a little tip. The URL always has to have the HTTPS. So if you've got a bit.ly short link, you've got to have that. If I save it, it's going to show up right here in the tab. Now give me 1 second. I'm going to grab my charger. My dog is thoroughly confused at what I'm doing, why I'm running back and forth. But anyway, so if I want to showcase this as an exemplar for students, I can put it up here. Now, one of the things I can do is if I click on this, I can rename this. And I can rename it to, this is what the tab is going to say. Instead of website, I could say example poetry. And I might say unit, whatever. And now that's going to become the name up here. So the kids, if I say in the assignments, look at the example poetry unit in the tab, they can come over, click in here, and see this example. So maybe next year, this student turns it in. I ask if I can use it for next year, and I put the exemplars right here. So that's the beauty of having these class or tab apps, because it gives us this place to showcase something, take it away, showcase something else. And we can do that even in channels. And that's what's beautiful too. And I'm going to take a second to talk a little bit more about Adobe Spark, because you can see how beautiful this is, and about how we could put up Wakelet collections of resources for students inside of these tab apps, which is a beautiful thing. But let's say I have some students who really need some additional help. I could give them their own channel over here, and inside of that channel, so let me go to one of these. It's Day of Sketchnoting channel. I still have the tab app. I can, just for 3 students who are in that channel, I can give them a special exemplar, because maybe I don't need every student to see that example, because we know as teachers, if we give an example, we get back 30 other versions of that example sometimes, right? So maybe just 3 kids need that. Or maybe I have a parent channel that I send it out so parents can see what I'm looking for, but all students don't. Although we know that if parents see it, then we'll for sure get only that back. But okay, so now that we are still in this tab option, before I go to Wakelet and talk a little bit more about Adobe Spark for our Google people that are in here, I want to talk about, so here are some other tabs. Now remember that Teams is made for business. So a lot of these are going to be business apps. And so maybe I'm not going to use Cocoon. I don't even know what Cocoon is, but I do recognize Flipgrid and Buncee. And if I keep going down, I can probably come across, and I know because I've looked at these many, many, many times, I should come across Wakelet. But now I'm having to go way too far to look for Wakelet. So let me just search. And there it is. So I can choose Wakelet. And now I can share my Wakelet inside of here. So let me show you how I would do this. So I'm going to add this. And now Wakelet's going to say, what's collection? So I'm going to go over to my Wakelet. So I will step back in a second and explain Wakelet, but I'm just going to show you this, okay? So actually, let me step back right now. I wish I could see my chat because I would just ask you. But Wakelet is a place where you curate resources. It's sort of like Pinterest, but Pinterest on steroids. And Wakelet has quickly become like my top 5 tool for education. And that's what I love about Microsoft. Sorry, I'm getting messages that you're probably seeing. Anyway, that's what I love about Microsoft, is they are really lifting up people like Wakelet and Buncee, and then they bought Flipgrid. And these apps are, while you can use them in the Google ecosystem, they are one-offs in the Google ecosystem. They are kind of like, we'll use the word infused. They are infused inside of Microsoft. So these are my collections that you're looking at. I'm collecting resources and putting them into a collection. And these are ones I'm working on. That's why they have no picture. But if you come down here, you can see I've made a bunch of collections, and they should start showing up here. I have these with covers for things that I do for people. So you can see I've put together 19 resources for sketchnoting. Let's go in and look at what that looks like. So I do a lot of sketchnoting with students, and I wanted teachers to be able to do it too. So I put together a Wakelet about sketchnoting. And I did a video right here. So if we went right here, it's me talking. Ooh, what happened? Sorry about that. I don't know what's happening. Maybe it's just being, yeah, it's just not loading for right now because I have it's that day for me, quite frankly. But I put a video here that says, start here. And it's me saying, okay, here's what this collection is about. And I've talked about this in other sessions I've done. And if you haven't been in any of my other sessions, I talk a lot about teachers giving video directions. And that's what this is. It's a video direction of how to use this Wakelet. And I'm going to share this Wakelet inside of my Teams app. I can also share it inside of Google Classroom, but it's not going to look quite the same in Google Classroom. It's going to come up as like a square window that will have a lot of text and a little bit of like a Wakelet thing. You're going to see what it looks like in tab apps and why I am so much more fond of Teams. So I put together some like TED Talks about why you should do sketch notes. I put together how to like lessons, like here's how to draw school icons. Here's how to draw fonts. And so I have all this together as resources for teachers who want to know more about sketchnoting and do it with their students. So these are all curated here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to share, and you can see I can share it directly to Teams. And we're going to see where it goes when I do that. Or I can share it to Google Classroom or Twitter. And I don't even know what this guy is. These two. There's some, I think this is like Choreo or something. And I forget what that one is. But anyway, I'm going to take the link. I'd rather do it that way. I'm going to come back over to Teams. And I'm going to put that in there. And that didn't work. Hold on. Well, let's share it to Teams and see what happens. But I think it puts it in the post. So you can see right here, it wants to put it inside of a post. And I find that kids really struggle with too many posts. So this is why I like to do it this other way. So let me go back. I could also create an assignment, it says, but it wants me to put it into a post. I'm not big on that. Why it's not going in, let me copy this again. Try it one more time. The link is copied. And it doesn't want to do it. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back and I'm just going to do website. I don't need that. And I'm going to save it. And here it is. It says website. I'm going to want to rename it. Oh, that's funny. But I promise you this works. I did it the other day with a class I have also inside of Teams. Let me try this one more time. So I'm going to remove this because I want it to be fluid. I'm going to try it one more time and then I'll give up. It'll be fine. But I'm just not a good person of giving up. I may have to do this. Might need to, sorry about that. I might need to use this particular one. And I'm going to go to general. For some reason, I went away from that. And I'm just going to go to website again, see what happens. Of course, this is doing this for me. But it does work, I promise you. Let me try one more thing. I'm a person who doesn't give up. That's what made me a good technologist. Remember
Holly?
Yes.
I think when you went in, it was asking you to do the drop down for which channel you wanted to put the Wakelet in, and you didn't click on that.
That could be it. But for some reason, thank you so much. And I love anyone who ever wants to interrupt and say that. You're right. That's what I wasn't looking at. Thank you. So I just did it using that link. And I did it through Wakelet, by the way. I think we were talking. It is through Wakelet because I can see it there. And now this Wakelet sits inside of this tab. And I can scroll in it. Y'all, if I went and put this inside of Classroom, let me just show you. Let me show you the difference. You can see and I'm just going to do it inside of Day of Sketchnoting. So let's say I want to put it in classwork. In case you haven't seen Google Classroom, this is what it looks like. I'm going to create material. And I'm going to call this Wakelet Collection. And I'm not going to spend much time here. But I'm going to add the link, same link. And let's compare. And it's taking a second to post, which is normal for my day. But you can already see what it's going to look like. So this is what it looks like. And we're going to post this to my thing. And if a kid, let me go to stream because it's going to show it there. Oh, it says, I just posted new material Wakelet collection. If I head to it, I can click on it and it's going to take me to the Wakelet. But now I'm off doing something else and I'm not inside a classroom anymore. In Teams, I'm still in Teams. I'm not messing around. I know how to get back and go do some other stuff and find it again. So you see the beauty there of the Teams tab? So any questions? And please feel free, because I don't think there's very many of us today on this, at least American kind of holiday week. Let me come back. And let me see if I can see if there are any questions. Oh, sure. You can get here. Here's the link. I have it right there. Happen to have it in my save. There you go. Thank you for putting that in the chat. So there is Remind. There is all kinds of apps inside of here. But even when we don't have them, we have the ability just to use a link. So if you're a Seesaw person, you can take, let's go look at that, because everyone should be a Seesaw person. So I am going to go, let me check. I stopped sharing for a second. Let me share again. So really quickly, and you can do this in Google Classroom, but it looks a little different. So this is my Seesaw. Can you, if you can't see Seesaw right now, let me know. And so I'm going to take this link, and this is one I have for Invictus, which is a poem. If you've been to any of my sessions, I do talk about this one a lot because I'm super proud of my students on this. So if I come back over and I go to my Teams, and let me head back to my Teams, and I'm inside of here, I'm going to remove this one because we're done with this one now. And that's really important to remember. Take them away after like a day or however long you need. I'm going to add this Seesaw by going to website, pasting in my URL. And it says I already have done, so I got to call it Seesaw, which is good. I'm glad they made me rename it. I should be doing that every time. Now the kids can go directly. Isn't that cool? If you're using Google Classroom, you should be like, man, we need this. And so now kids don't have to go away. They can even create inside of this tab. I'm telling you, I'm obsessed with Teams tabs. I get more obsessed the more I talk about it right now. So I can go create a drawing, and I can turn it in straight from a tab. How amazing is this? Again, I want to make sure that I remove it when the time comes. I have actually seen some teachers who have like a list of tabs. So where you see website, they have 10 more across the screen and then some down, and we don't want that. We want to use it for powerful learning and kind of as a resource that is fluid. So let me talk for a moment so that everyone in here can get a little learning on if you're not a Teams tab person, because you can see how easy this is. Was that maybe a question? Not being able to see is horrible. Let me finish this up really quick before we go over to Adobe. And I'm going to show you how to make a collection, or more about Wakelet. I don't know about making a collection, but and I'm going to show you more about Adobe so that people outside of Teams tabs can do this. But if I add, let's say I want to add Nearpod, which is kind of, I don't know if it's a competitor to Pear Deck, but if I want to add Nearpod, I can add it. And it's going to ask me to put in some information. I don't want to right now. I'm going to go back. But when I come back up here, Nearpod now lives up here. So I can start to populate these with my favorites. And there's Quizlet in here. There's Genially, I believe. Or no, I think Genially's not here yet. But I don't need it to be because I can use website. So it's great that all these tabs are here, but I don't need them. I just need the link to the information I want to post there. And while these are cool, and it looks cool to have all these listed here, you only need this. So that's really fun. Okay, so let me head over to Adobe Spark because I want to show you some stuff. So I'm going to move. Well, first, before I do that, let me stop sharing for a second. And I'm going to come back over. Okay, I'm looking in the chat now. I'm going to turn on my camera so you can see me. And someone had a question which I want to answer, which is, if you share the PowerPoint, students will have their own copy, or will it be shared by the group? So I actually don't remember the answer to that. Does anyone else in here have the answer to that? And if you want to assign to one student, like if you want them to have their own PowerPoint, I just would recommend maybe that they have their own channel, or you put it in assignment. So think of tabs as this place where you showcase. Like, I want everyone to look at this, but working on it from there is kind of not going to happen. To work on it needs to happen in assignments. And then in assignments, you can get those insights into how many times did the kid come to the PowerPoint? How many times did but you could put a Pear Deck or Nearpod in there that wouldn't need a kid's individual work on it. So like in Pear Deck, it's collecting the answers, not PowerPoint. That's why you could put it in the tab. Okay, so let me ask this because I want to give my Google person, if she's still here, I think it was one person or two because we have a diverse school with the Google and Microsoft. How many of you have used Adobe? Oh yes, quick question. Go ahead, Wendy.
Yes, when you did Nearpod, when I type in Nearpod, it says you can't find any matches. How did you add that again?
Okay, let me go back. That's really weird. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, if you can't see what I'm doing, let me know. So I'm going to head back over to Teams, go to Day of Sketchnoting. And so I did add the tab, right? And you can see Nearpod there, but I typed in, and it could be the way you're spelling it. Maybe it's 2 words instead of 1, but it should be there.
I keep getting, we can't find any matches for Nearpod. And it's just like there.
So I'm wondering, and I don't know if this is true, but I'm wondering if, so I have access to Nearpod as a US, as a MIE or whatever. I wonder if your school doesn't have access to it, so it doesn't come up.
Okay.
I don't know if that's true. And also, you know the trick.
Yes, the
refresh, you know, turn your computer off and it'll appear. Okay.
Cheryl's raising her hand.
Okay, Cheryl, go ahead.
Yes, that's why I put it in the chat. I know I've run into that. If my school hasn't allowed a certain app, then I don't have access to it yet. So that might be the issue.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm not sharing anymore. Let me come back. And okay, I want to just ask quickly because I'm not going to have a lot of time with all the problems. But if you guys like this, I can scratch another session coming up and we can all meet together to talk about this. But how many of you have used Adobe Spark or have seen it? I hear typing. No. Okay, this is good. We're going to spend just a moment with it. So I got, okay, couple notes. Okay, so let me take you there and let me show you. Is it subscription? No, guess what, Michelle? It's free for all educators. It's the best. So if you like it when we're done here, I'll find a way to make a session. I'll go scratch one of my other ones and do a Adobe, because you're going to love this. Now, I had everything up to show you, but I'll do my best. So if you can't see the screen, please let me know. And I have all of these notifications coming. My gosh. Okay, so I want to show you this first one. Can you see the life of a Christian man who hid Jews? If you can just be quiet. If you can't, someone say something. All right. Oh, wait, you can't see it?
No, we cannot.
Okay, thank you. That's why you're so good at your job. Okay, now, oh man, I took the wrong one up. Oh, and I forgot to give you guys the, okay, now can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so this is Adobe Spark page. You saw it a moment ago. And what you saw was a culmination of learning, kind of like a small learning journal. But I want you to think about a 5-paragraph essay, a writing assignment here. And the student at the end, as the final product, instead of having it in Microsoft Word or Google Docs, which is very one-dimensional, takes this product at the end. I mean, they do the writing process in Word or Google Docs, but this is how it's presented at the end. So I want you to look at this in terms of a 5-paragraph essay. So here we are, here's our title, and here is our first paragraph. So it talks about childhood. Jorgen Moller was born in Denmark in 1937, and she's going to tell the narrative of her grandfather. So what Adobe Spark does is has this glide feature that allows us to add images that bring to life the things that are being talked about in the 5-paragraph essay. It's taking it from what I like to say 1985 to 2020, right? So here the child is chosen that they're going to choose Denmark. And so we can see, oh yeah, Denmark over by Sweden. I might have panned out on that particular map, but that's not important. And we're talking about his childhood. So here are some pictures of him. So now we're making it a more multi-dimensional, media-rich 5-paragraph essay, which, you know, we could all have some wine around the importance of 5-paragraph essays, but we have to do them. And this is a way to kind of bring them into this century. So here's our second one during the Holocaust, and you can see she goes on a little bit more than a 5-paragraph essay, but then she brings in pictures of the, I guess that's Auschwitz, and talks about that. Here's our next one. We're going to talk about family. Well, what images would help bring that forward? Here we go. Here are some pictures and images of family. And so we're taking Adobe Spark. Oh my gosh, that from the side looks like it could be me, to be honest with you. I never noticed that before. But anyway, but she's taking what is a one-dimensional assignment and turning it into something very, very layered. There's critical thinking, there's creativity in this, but before there was only communication. Now we have communication, creativity, collaboration. I don't know if there's collaboration, could be, but we're bringing in the 4 C's to this. So while people think of Adobe page like, oh, it's a web page, I don't do those. Look at the beauty of just having kids place that final writing assignment inside of the page. So it gets good. She keeps going with her paragraphs. We learn a little bit more, but here's where it gets good. At the end, she interviews her grandfather about all of these things you've read about in this narrative. I mean, as a teacher, I hope you have chills the way I do. Like, this is good teaching. And this student said to, actually, this was turned into one of my partner, Tanya, who I wrote my books with. And she said, I couldn't stop working on it. I worked on this day and night. Like I just wanted it to be good and to represent my grandfather, and I chose yellow for the star, the Jewish star, and I made, decisions based on that. So I wanted to show you an example of Adobe Spark page. And you can get to this by going to, let me head over there, spark.adobe.com. And then you want to put the evermagical/edu. And when you do that, coming up in August, each of educators will be able to sign up for their free Adobe. They're not trying to make it not free in a year. They want it to be free for educators. And you can sign up for a free account, which is COPA and FERPA compliant. And then kids can do pages like you just saw, and then share those with you, and then you can grade them. And so this is what it looks like. And I'll put that link inside the chat in a second, but I want to show you what else it does. So inside of Adobe Spark, and I'm probably going to have to sign in really quickly. And I'm not going to sign in with my school account. So you're not going to see any of my student stuff. You're going to see mine right now. But normally you would see student work coming in. And the things that I can create are that web page, but it's not a web page. It's a writing assignment. It's a portfolio. It's getting to know a math equation, whatever your creativity can come up with. Or I can do a video or a graphic. I will be honest with you, I do not use Adobe for graphics, and I hate them. I had to do this one down here the other night, and I was like complaining the whole time. But video, I want to show you an example of an Adobe Spark video. And I'm going to show you a first grade example because, let's see, yes. Hold on. Okay. Because this was done by a kid who has dyslexia, dysgraphia, is in a class where he's a kid with learning disabilities, and he was able to make this at 6 years old. And so here he has taken information about Roberto Clemente and pulled it out and put it together and then typed it into this program using actually voice type, because that's what he needed for his learning strategies. And here's what he created. Now I'm going to turn it down so I can talk over it a little bit, or it is turned down, but hold on.
34. He was born in Puerto Rico.
So I want you to see that it's all in the same font. It's all in the same color. Now he chose a template that gave pink. I don't know if pink really goes with a baseball player, but it could. I don't care. And so you can see he's typed in this stuff using his voice typing, and then he probably worked with someone to make sure that, like, the grammar was correct. But it keeps it consistent. It doesn't give kids too much ability for choice, just enough choice. And instead of the flames, and if you've been teaching a while like me, you've gone through the PowerPoints and the Google Slides where kids add black backgrounds and hot pink font and do all this stuff that doesn't look good. That's taken away from them as they're handed templates. Now I want you to hear this last part. I love this. This tells me how he feels.
Everybody loves Roberto Clemente. He's the best player in the world.
So this particular project, when they were done with the research and they were done doing what's called a thinking map, to put this together took about 40 minutes for him, because he has some learning struggles. But I had done projects like this with kids in 8th grade that took 20 minutes because they're a little bit more sophisticated in their ability to do things. And so this is an example of Adobe Spark video. And let me just show you really quickly. And I know we're not over time, so I can show you as soon as the CNN thing goes away for me. I'm going to head to my Adobe Spark, and I want to show you how simple this is. So I go to this video player, and I have to give it a name, so I'm going to call it that, just so I remember to delete it. And then I can choose from these templates, like I can do show and tell. So that's what we're going to pick. We're going to pick show and tell so you can see it. It comes up automatically with a video to tell me how to use the program. I happen to know it right now, but maybe later you might want to watch that if you go in to try this. And so the template does this for the kids. Okay, you're going to do show and tell. Well, tell us about you. Okay, what is it you're going to show? Well, it's my dog. And why are you going to show it? Because I love her very much. And now here's a picture of her. And she's changed my life because she's so special. And I'm sharing it because I really love my dog, whatever. Okay. And all of these come with templates to help the kids. And you can even customize the template to be a certain way because maybe you're doing a response to lit, or you want to know about a math problem, or you want to know about plant and animal cells and the differences. You can change this to be, what's a plant cell? What's different about an animal cell? So they have a template to work from. You can see over here are the templates or the themes. If I go down here, this is the one that young kid or that Gabby chose. And that's why it was pink, but he could have chose these. And so there are a few, but not too many. And it helps the kids stay on track. So I'm going to use the focus one. And if I want to add an image, it gives me images. Oops, sorry, I chose video. I didn't mean to do that. If it gives me images that are free to use from Pixabay and Unsplash. And if I want to find a photo, let's say my project is on Paris. Let's look at how great these images are. So I choose this one. No more going out to Google to find images that are not even that good and pixelated. These are here and free to use. And then at the end of the presentation, it automatically gives a citation for that. So I've done that to add text, and it's going to choose the text kind of the theme that I chose. So I can put Paris, and now I can record this easy. Hi, bienvenue à Paris. And maybe I'm doing it for a French class or something. And let me play it for you and let me preview. This easy. Hi, bienvenue à Paris. I put some music in the background. You can choose the different music. And that's how easy it is. And that's why I wanted to show this to you, because adding these great things as assignments or as tabs, Adobe Spark is really a great place to spend a little time this summer kind of getting to know it. So hold on, I'm going to come back and I'm going to tell you something awesome. Okay, so I should be back. Let me turn on my camera. So if you go here, if you go to that, I have a free course. So it's like 3 or 4 different courses, and I think together it takes a half hour on how to use Adobe Spark. So you can go and try it out and see what you think of it. And what was I going to say? It's just something really cool to add. So that's what the Infused Classroom is about, like adding all of these cool things like Seesaw and Adobe Spark into Google Classroom, into Teams. So we're not just living in what they have provided for us. And if you notice at the beginning, all they had was Buncee and Flipgrid that were educational apps. I just need website. It's kind of a, that's all you need is website. Anyway, so we are done now with the presentation. I want to thank you so much for for sticking with me during all of the issues. But if you like Adobe Spark, let me know and I can try and do a little bit more, and we can play and you guys can create. And you can also take that course, but it's just going to be showing you. We can create. So let me know on any kind of social channels or anywhere if you want to try Adobe Spark. But I appreciate your time today. And Karen, if you have a question, go ahead.
Hi, Holly. Thanks for providing this. This was amazing. I'm new to Teams, though. We just started going on it. Do you have any Teams classes on the Infused Classroom? Thank you.
I don't yet, but August 1st, and I don't know if you're familiar with my kind of partner on all of this, Matt Miller. By August 1st, we are going to have a complete Teams course where it's going to really be talking about the pedagogy. It's going to have 10 little capsules that you can do at your own pace. So make sure that you go to the Facebook group for Infused Classroom and join. You may already be joined there, but that I'll be doing, I'll be telling people about it. And also, if you sign up for this, you may already be on my email list, but as soon as it comes out, that's where you'll get the information. But Microsoft is actually funding that to have Matt and I do that because they want the pedagogy of kind of like what I showed you today. Yeah,
Thanks.
Matt Miller's
Yes,
great.
I'm on your website. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, everyone. Well, thanks. And I'll see you around. And it still says Karen has a question, but I think it's just still there. Unless you have one, you can ask. Nope, there we go. Okay. Okay, everyone. Have a wonderful Wednesday, and I hope it gets better. For me, anyway. Bye, everyone.